Recently, a new game, Swordburst 3, came out for free release, a reimagined version of popular game Swordburst 2, which me and many other fans of Swordburst 2 were very excited for. Most mechanics from the old game stayed in this one, but a lot of new ones were added. But that begs the question, is the game good? In this video, I will give a rundown of the game and my personal opinion on it. If you want more videos like these, let me know. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video. As said in the beginning of the video, Swordburst 3 keeps a lot of its old charm, but also adds some new stuff to the table. Some good, some bad. I think the first thing most players, including myself, notice is this game plays more like a generic Bandit Beater. If you don't know what a Bandit Beater is, a Bandit Beater is classified as a game where you just fight NPCs to power up. Take for example games like Bloxers and Grand Peace Online. These games are usually hated by majority of the Roblox player base for the fact you basically just do the same quest over and over again until you're high enough level to do another quest that you can do over and over again until you're max level. I'm in the percentage that dislikes Bandit Beaters for their very boring nature, and sadly, after playing through Swordburst 3, I can safely say this game is a Bandit Beater. I mean, seriously, the first thing you do in the whole game is kill some animals to complete some random person's quest, and then they tell you to go beat up the animals again. It's frustrating knowing that this is just a more mind-numbing, generic version of Swordburst 2, which they just added quests instead of murdering them yourself. But a feature that was kept that I'm decently happy about is the boss dungeons. In both floors currently out, there's a boss dungeon. Can you guess where it is? That's right, it's in the giant tower that never stops going up. How'd you guess? Anyways, you get into the tower by, you guessed it, beating up more animals. Yeah, this game is a very generic Bandit Beater. Apart from the Bandit Beater aspect, I really enjoyed the weapon classes. I personally used Greatsword as I love using heavy and high damaging blades, but there is one small problem. Can you guess what it is? No? Well, I will tell you. There are 4 classes of weapons currently in the game as of making this video. 1, the regular sword, 2, the greatsword, 3, katana, and 4, dual-wielded swords. The issue arises with the fact that you have to pay money to use the dual-wielded swords. I mean, come on, it was free in Swordburst 2, so why make it cost money now? I mean, yeah, they are really good, but you could have just made it an unlockable. But this game is still early access, so I like to believe that they will make it less grindy and less pay to win in the future. When fighting your first enemies, the first thing you will notice is the combat system. It's nothing too special at first, just dodge the attacks when you're standing on them, and it's all good and well. The issue with the combat system that I personally was very annoyed with was the lack of invisibility frames, or more commonly known as iframes, in the game's combat system. If you don't know what iframes are, they are exactly what the name suggests. After a certain action, such as being hit with an attack, your character cannot be damaged for a quick second. This feature is important because it stops multiple hit attacks from instantly killing you. And Swordburst 3 has basic iframes. The issue arises when it comes to dodging. Usually, dodging inside of games where the enemy attacks you gives you short iframes where you won't be damaged. Take Just Shapes and Beats' dashing mechanic, which allows you to dash through obstacles, making the game seem more intense, but also more lenient with its difficulty. In Swordburst 3, you don't have iframes when dodging. Many times when playing the game, I dodge enemies' attacks and still get hit. It's really annoying because you have this dodging feature that really just lets you escape attacks, yes, but most attacks come out too fast for you to escape. So you sometimes just have to tank damage and pray you don't fall victim to the same thing next time, which yes, you probably will. Here's an example that I clipped while I was leveling up. Did you see that? If you didn't, here's the exact frame I took damage. I clearly dodged the enemy's attack, and it still hit me because I had no iframes when dodging. It makes the combat feel really janky and downright unfair sometimes. But apart from the lack of iframes, the combat is pretty well polished. It was fun fighting bosses for the most part, and it felt very rewarding when I would be able to fight bosses with no external help. What killed it for me is that bosses don't give that great XP. For the most part, you only fight the bosses at the end of each floor, with like one exception, because it's just a lot more effective to do these mind-numbing quests that make you question why you're still playing the game. If I could suggest anything, it would be to make bosses more difficult, add invincibility frames while dodging, and to make bosses give equal and or better XP than basic quests do, just to liven up the boring leveling process that you usually experience by adding a fun, rewarding challenge that players can do. Speaking of leveling, that's what we will be talking about next. Swordburst 3's Bandit Beater aspect isn't as bad as games like Blox Fruits, which require you to literally waste hours of your life to make barely any progress, which in turn makes the game incredibly boring and very repetitive. Swordburst 3 actually makes it kind of interesting. When mindlessly doing quests, these things spawn in that you can activate, which spawns a wave of enemies for you to fight, and upon defeating them all, get an XP reward. It's a unique feature I haven't seen done before, and helps add a little bit of spice to the usually boring, repetitive leveling process. I quickly picked up on this feature using it to my advantage. The wave has 10 enemies that would spawn, and most quests require you to defeat 5 enemies before it completes, and there is this handy dandy button that lets you repeat a quest after completing it. So I would beat the first 5 to finish my quest, repeat the quest while the wave is still ongoing, defeat the last 5 to complete the wave and also my second quest. So you can get, let's say, 2000 XP, 1000 from the event and 1000 from the quest instead of 500 XP for just doing the quest. This works really well at speeding up the leveling process, and adds just enough for it to not be as mind-numbing and repetitive as other games. Not saying it isn't repetitive, I really hated getting to max level, it was so boring. But as of recording, I'm out. You can spend Robux for double XP bonuses for a certain amount of time. You know what that means? That's right, this game is pay to win! You know how frustrating that is? Dual Wield Blade Game Pass is literally just a better greatsword in all ways imaginable. And if that's not enough, they allow the ability to just progress twice as fast by paying them even more money? I mean, what do I expect? These are the exact same devs who made World Zero. That ran aside, when reaching a certain level, you can equip better gear. This gear can be obtained in many ways, such as buying it from shops, dropping from enemies, boss drops, and trading with players. It's not the most original thing, but I thought I'd include it anyways because it's a core part of the game. With all that complaining aside, let's go complain about the content inside of the game. Majority of the content comes from leveling up in the game, and since it's a bandit beater, that's basically all you do. But in this game, it is all you do. There is literally no other content besides leveling up and fighting bosses. And it's very annoying because of how quickly it gets boring. I mean, all you do is level up till max, and then at max there's nothing else to do besides trading, and that gets repetitive quickly. I think they should add a little side mission, and also expand the world so you don't follow one questline that gets very boring very quickly. And for endgame content, maybe dungeons, which drop a lot better loot. Or maybe expand the combat to add a PvP system in the game. The current one is very bad. Only one person has to have PvP on to fight. I was being spawn camped by 2 max levels while trying to level up because they had PvP on and I didn't. It is so annoying how players can just run up to you and kill you, and you can't disable PvP. No. You just have to suck it up and go back to leveling. I mean, whose idea was it? I constantly see people complaining in public lobbies about people killing them and not allowing them to play the game. That's just how boring this game is. The max levels have nothing else to do besides bully and harass lower levels, because at least that brings them enjoyment. And I'm not saying for you to do that. No, that's a jerk move to harass lower level players. I'm just saying it's fun for most people who have nothing else to do. Not me, though. I don't do that. Luckily, the game is receiving an update, adding a 3rd floor, so hopefully they change some things and make the game more enjoyable. Through everything I've talked about in this video until this point, I make the game out to be really bad, but this game is still in early access, so of course it's not fully decked out with all these amazing features. No, this is just the core mechanics of the game right now, and I expect the devs to expand the game into an amazing open world RPG and not some high budget unoriginal bandit beater, kind of like Deep Woken. My personal rating on this game is a 4 out of 10 at base value, but the fact it's early access, I'd like to bump it up to a 7 out of 10. Other things I'd like to mention is the grind isn't too bad, as it only took me about 7 hours to get to max level, but I wouldn't recommend the game to someone who isn't ready to sit down and mindlessly grind for hours. With everything said and done, if you'd like to see more content like this, please leave a like on the video, as it helps me know that you enjoy this type of content. And finally, thank you for watching all the way through, and have a great rest of your day.